Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. In today's video we're going to be going over a tier list that I made that I think will represent the future of Smash Ultimate. So I have a couple tiers here. You have the stay the same tier. I think these characters are going to be mainly the same in the meta as they are right now. Then you have the characters that I think are going to get worse. The characters that I think are going to get better but just for a couple people. Characters I think are going to get better as secondaries, and then characters I just think are going to improve in general. And the first tier is the stay the same tier. And again, these characters could shift up and down a little bit, but I think for the most part, they're probably going to stay about the same as they are in the meta. And there are certain characters in here, like Steve, for example. Steve's meta is going to continue being pushed, but at the end of the day, he's going to go from being the best character in the game to the best character in the game. Sonic's going to probably stay top 5. These characters' metas, while they may be developed, it's not going to make such a huge shift on where they actually are on a tier list that I'm just going to put them in this stay the same tier. And the next tier we have are the characters that I think are going to get worse. And we've already seen this trend with a couple of them. Most notably, you have Palutena. She has slowly been falling off. While people are still having some representation with her, I think probably most notably you have Jagaimo doing really well in Japan. She's not doing as well as she used to be for some obvious reasons. She has a very linear game plan. She pretty much has zero X factor, and that's going to be something that is holding her back. Sephiroth as well. I think he's just too reliant on Wing. And while Wing is really good, as the meta progresses and people are hitting you so much harder, there's going to be a lot of times where you just don't even get your Wing because of how light Sephiroth is and how easy he is to just clip with a lot of your hits because of his size. So I think he's going to get held back. Incineroar and Ice Climbers, this is just because I think people are going to counterpick these characters super hard because these characters have some insanely winning matchups. I mean, we're seeing Big D and SkyJ absolutely dominating people, and while they are winning some of those losing matchups, I think people are going to start picking up secondaries that are just going to destroy the character. People are going to be less afraid of Incineroar. They're going to be better around side B, and with Ice Climbers, people are going to know how to deal with Nana better, because once you know how to deal with Nana, while Sopo of course is still a threat, it is way less concerning when you only have to deal with one climber. So I think those characters are going to get worse. And for Kazuya, I think again we're already seeing this. Kazuya has pretty much hit the peak, because once you can zero to death someone off an electric, that's kind of all the character does. And while that's really scary, we've already seen that for like a year now. People killing you in one hit. People are only going to get better at counterplay. The neutral game plan for Kazuya is still incredibly weak. So I think the on-hit stuff is pretty much as far as it's going to go. Like, yes, you get hit once and you die, but if you're not getting hit that much, then it's not really too big of an issue. Next up, I have the gonna get better, but for like one person tier. And I don't actually have a specific person in mind for any of these characters, but what I mean by this tier is these characters have some very intricate setups or very specific game plans that are really good when executed correctly. I think most notably a character like Lucas. Lucas is bad. He is not an amazing character. But when Lucas is played really well, you have the slingshot combos on lock. You're doing the stuff that you need to be doing. He can get extremely good. We've seen a couple runs from Lucas players in the past, and I think all it takes is one or two Lucas players to figure it out and consistently do well in tournament for him to become a threat. But I don't think he's going to become a massive threat that everyone has to worry about. I think that's honestly the same thing for Rosalina and Meta Knight. And the rest of these characters are characters that are already established to be pretty good, except Link as well. Link I'd probably throw in that tier. But the rest of these characters all established to be pretty good, but they just don't have a ton of representation. I think maybe the only one you can move out of this is Peach, but with the new tech that's been discovered for Peach item toss, then I definitely see them getting a lot better. But I think Joker's a character that's a little bit underexplored right now. That's still broken. Pikachu's like that. Sora, I mean, we just saw Kamehameha's run. He did amazing there. Sheik as well. Shulk, they all have these things that are really long combos. For Shulk, it's more just Monado art usage, but all these other characters have some really long combos, and without the combos, they're struggling a little bit. I think kind of the only exception to that would be Joker, just because his neutral is so strong. But I think these are all characters that we could see one or two people become super prominent with in the future, and some of them already do have good rips. I mean, for Rosalina, you already have Dabuz, but I could see Dabuz pushing the character way further. I could see a couple other Rosa players doing well with them. So these are all just characters that I think we're going to see more representation from in the future, but it's not going to be by the masses. It's going to be by one or two people that are really good at the specific character. Next up, we have the gonna get better but secondary tier. So these are all characters that I honestly think might even be in the gonna get better tier. I just value them more as a secondary. The only one I wouldn't put in there is Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is probably not going to become a solo mainable threat, but I think as a secondary he is really strong because his advantage state is ridiculous, and there's certain matchups that he does really well in. If you don't have to play any of his -2 or like 3 matchups, and trust me, he has a lot of those, if you could just play even or winning matchups, which he does have against some relevant characters, most notably, he does pretty well versus Cloud. I mean, you saw Aqua try it at Battle BC, and though it didn't work, I think that's something that we could see more in the future. And then you have Cloud as well. Cloud's one for Steve. I think everyone's going to have a Pocket Cloud in like a year or so. every single player in the world is probably going to have a secondary of one of these characters, I imagine. Obviously, some people won't, but if you're going to co-main, it's probably going to be one of these six because all these characters have a really strong advantage. They hit you super hard, and none of them have anything that's super crazy. Like, the hardest character combo-wise is probably Aegis, and that's Aegis, and I think Aegis is a character that could actually maybe be in the gonna get worse tier, just because the edge guard is gonna get worse for the character, but I think as a secondary, they're so strong. Most notably right now, you have Spargo using them as a secondary in the matchups where they prevail in. Shutone as well, kind of more as a co-main, but you're seeing him have a lot of success with it. I mean, Min Min, that is kind of the literally I am a secondary character. Min Min is so broken as a secondary. Me Brawler, I was gonna have in the gonna get better tier, but I think Me Brawler as a secondary is so good, specifically on certain stages. Like, you literally just can't pick Battlefield for someone that has a good Me Brawler because they're gonna be killing you at 50% off a grab literally anywhere. Like, it is ridiculous. And then for Hero as well, I think the buffs for Hero are really good, and it makes certain matchups amazing for him. Like, if you can't deal with the Hero spells, you're gonna get absolutely ruled. So these are all characters. Some of them maybe should just be in the gonna get better tier. Some of them maybe not as much, stay the same, gonna get worse. But I think all of them shine a lot as secondaries. And finally, we have the gonna get better tier, and these are all characters that I think you're gonna have a continual rise in success for a couple of reasons. We'll start off with Youngling. I just think Youngling is a character that there's a ton of Youngling mains right now that just don't go to a ton of stuff, and if they start going to stuff, even just a couple of them, we're going to start seeing results pour out from this character because he is ridiculous. His combo game is one of the best in the game. His projectiles are amazing. He has a great out of shield. There's basically not a ton of weaknesses for Youngling. I really think he is an amazing character. You have Rob as well. I mean, the gyro stuff with Rob is just going to get pushed super far. I think all item characters are just going to get naturally better throughout the history of the game just because items are such an interesting thing. There's so many ways you can use them in different ways, and I think Rob's a character with gyro, one of the best items in the game, and he has an amazing combo game off it already. Plus, like, you just have Rob's basic kit being amazing. You have down tilt, you have nair. Everything about Rob is kind of just great besides the fact, like, oh yes, he is a little bit big, but when you look at everything else he has, it's definitely a worthwhile trade. You have Pokemon Trainer as well. Pokemon Trainer is a character I still think is top 20, just no one's playing them right now, and I honestly think you could make that argument for a couple people here. Maybe Joker, maybe even PT should be moved down, but if like 5 or 6 PT players just popped up seemingly out of nowhere and started doing really well, I wouldn't be too shocked because Squirtle is still broken. Ivysaur, broken. Charizard, not super broken, but broken enough, and you only need to play these characters to their advantages. If it's a bad matchup for Ivysaur and Charizard, just play Squirtle. That's absolutely fine to do that. Every single character has their way to kill, and even in matchups where Squirtle's going to have a lot of success, because that's probably going to mean the main character that you're playing, just get him up to 120. Again, he racks up damage insanely fast, and then switch to Charizard or Ivysaur, who have strong kill throws. And also, Squirtle has a kill throw. Like Pokemon Trainer, there's so few matches that this character actually loses because it's really difficult to beat all 3 Pokemon. Next up, you're going to have Ness, and honestly, I just kind of look at the stuff that Nessboy12 is doing, and I'm like, if people can do 10% of what he's doing, this character is going to be a top tier. Ness is ridiculous. His side magnet combos are unreal, and even without the side magnet combos, you know, maybe he should be in this tier, but Lucas, the difference between Lucas and Ness, Lucas without his crazy stuff is kind of weak. Ness without his crazy stuff is still Ness. He still has an amazing out of shield game. His grab game is still ridiculous. Every single hit that he does so much damage for like no reason. He kills with basically every move that he has. Like, Ness is still a ridiculous baseline character for Game Watch. I mean, I watch Battle of BC. Game Watch is top 10, and I think he's only going to get better. Best out of shield in the game, best advantage state in the game with his up air. His nair is massive. He has some of the best ledge trapping in the game, best edge guarding in the game. Well, maybe not best, but some of the best. Like, Game Watch has so many things going for him. Literally, the only thing he doesn't have is weight, but there's a lot of characters at the top level that aren't super heavy that you still have a lot of success with, because with Game Watch, he just kills you so early. I mean, I didn't even talk about his smash attacks that bury you at 60 and the F smash kills you at 60. Like, it is insane. You have Lucina as well. I think Lucina might start to replace Roy in the meta. I have Roy in the stay the same tier because I don't think Roy's going to necessarily get worse, but with Lucina, it's kind of that swordsman archetype, but you don't have to worry about the sour spots, which we're seeing Roy having a little bit of struggle with, but Roy is still a really broken character, so I think he's going to be fine. But Lucina, amazing edge guarding, amazing out of shield, kind of just a neutral monster that I think we could see come back into the meta. I mean, you have Protobot bottom. Kind of like PT as well. I feel like they're just more of a forgotten top tier than a character that has super fallen off. Next up, I have Diddy Kong, and I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier with Rob, but characters with items, I just see them having a lot more success because the amount of stuff you can do with items, and also Diddy Kong's tech game is unreal. There are so many little intricate things about this character that, while incredibly difficult, once executed properly, they are insane. And I might have Diddy Kong and they're gonna get better for like one person tier, but then I look at Japan, there's like 40 Diddy Kong players that are on the rise right now doing really well. So I think Diddy Kong's a character we're gonna see a lot more at the top level. I mean, again, he is ridiculous. Monkey flip up as a mechanic. When you have a transcendent banana, those two things combined makes him such a strong character. Samus as well. Now Samus is just one that I think is already, again, on the rise. There's a lot of Samus players having success, but I just think these Samus players are going to continue to have more and more success because Samus is low-key like a top 10, top 15 character, ridiculously broken. The fact that you can do literally anything you want off Charge Shot is insane to me, and I just think Samus is amazing. Like, again, character doesn't really have too many massive overglaring flaws. Bayonetta as well. The Bayonetta combo game, I've been watching Bloom forever. I've been watching Lima. The Can't Bayo, I believe in it so hard. Like, when this game first came out, everyone thought Bayo sucked. We were super wrong. I think she did get a couple buffs that may have helped her out, but the main thing about Bayo was her camping game is so strong, and her whiff punishing game is also incredibly strong. So you have this really good combination of Bayonetta being so elusive, really hard to pin her down, and then when she does finally hit you, she just does so much damage. The only struggle that she has is going to be with her killing, but I think, again, Lima's playstyle Bayonetta I've been so impressed by because he doesn't care if you're at 180%, he's still going to camp you super hard and wait for his opportunity, and Bayonetta is a character that her mobility is so good that waiting for the opportunity is super viable for a strategy. And we have our final two characters of Snake and Terry. Starting off with Snake, I mean, I've already talked about the item gameplay a lot in this video, but characters with items are only going to continue getting better as people just get better at using them. You also have Snake, who I think will probably have the best ledge trapping in the game come a couple months. Just the amount of setups that he has with C4, with grenade timing, with up smash as well, just to keep people lingering on the ledge, as well as he having these massive hitboxes like Snake is going to be really difficult to get off the ledge with. It's also going to be really difficult to recover because he has Nikita. It's also going to be really difficult to actually close out stocks because he's so heavy. He can make insane comebacks because everything Snake does like 20%. I think literally every single aerial he does has like 20% damage on it. It's actually insane. And he gets combos into those aerials off a grenade. So you take 10% from a grenade, you get hit by an air, you're at 30 now. You get grabbed, you get 50-50. Now you're at like 60%. Now you're dead to an F smash or a forward smash or just literally anything in the game. I know I said F smash twice, I meant forward air. But Snake has not only probably the strongest X factor out of any of the top tiers, maybe Steve's X factor is a little bit stronger, but he is literally never out of a game. He stickies you at like 60% and you are in dire danger. Like, Snake is just such a ridiculous character. And we've already seen every single region having success with Snake. Snake players are slowly getting better. Like, the average Snake placements are getting way, way higher. I'd say out of all the characters in the game right now, Snake players are probably the best representation just at the top level. There's just so many of them having a lot of success throughout the entire world, and I think that's only going to continue. And finally, you have Terry. I mean, Terry is just broken. I've talked about Terry a lot in my videos being extremely underrated. I still think he could be the best FGC character in the game. The fact that off a down tilt or a jab, you could get into a super that's killing people at like 60, and even without go meter, he's still really strong. He can confirm into up B, side B, down B. He has so many ways to kill you really early. He has a pretty good out of shield with his up B game. The only kind of weakness for him is that recovery, but he also has so many mix-ups that I think it is realistic that a Terry player can live a lot of edge guard situations and do super well. I think Terry, again, kind of underrated. I think Kazuya, maybe even Ryu stealing a bit of the show, but if Terry started becoming super prominent again, let's say Whittles kind of shifts his focus more to the character, I could definitely see him going back to that top 20 caliber that he used to be regarded as. And I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy it. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think these characters are going to get better? Maybe you think some of them are going to get worse. I'm sure there's a bunch of characters in Stay the Same tier that people think are going to have success. Like, I think, again, realistically, some of these characters could get better. I think someone could do a little bit better with Banjo. You know, that character has some tech. I think Fox could see a lot more success, but I don't think it's going to be to a drastic enough level where it's actually going to shift the meta super hard. And there are some characters in the going to get better tier that are already super meta relevant. I think most notably you have Rob, Samus, and Snake. And Game & Watch as well, but I just think they're going to become more and more meta relevant. And again, I'm curious. I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It's a fun video. Sport's been absolutely unreal, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.